Hey there, it's CJ Willie, and I'm back with episode number 6 in Let's Talk About 1984 Donruss. If you haven't watched episodes 1 through 5, you can check them out by clicking on the links in the description below. You can also find them on my channel under the playlist Let's Talk About Baseball. In today's episode, I pick up from where I left off in episode 5 by covering the next 50 cards in the set numbered 211 to 260. Included in today's spotlight are 3 superstars who deserve a closer look from the Veterans Committee for Hall of Fame consideration, plus arguably the best rookie card in the set. Let's get started. Mark Brohard, Howard Bailey, Bruce Hurst. Born in St. George, Utah, Hurst was a cog in the Red Sox starting rotation during the 1980s. He made his only All-Star appearance in 1987. He won 145 games during his 15-year career spent with the Red Sox and Padres. Bob Shirley, Pat Zachary, a journeyman starting pitcher for most of his career. Zachary was named to the 1978 National League All-Star team as a member of the Mets. Julio Franco. After his first 12 seasons in the major leagues, Franco was on a trajectory to become a Hall of Famer. Despite being named to 3 All-Star teams, winning a batting crown, and amassing 2,000 career hits, Franco curiously signed a contract in Japan. Upon returning to the States, he continued to play until 2007, retiring at the age of 48. Even though he finished his career with a .298 batting average, he fell short of 3,000 hits by 500 hits. Mike Armstrong, Dave Beard, who doesn't have a beard in this photo when a lot of facial hair was prevalent in the 1980s. Steve Rogers, nicknamed Cy by his teammates, Rogers was the ace of the Expos rotation during the middle 1970s through the early 1980s. He was named to 5 National League All-Star teams and finished in the top 5 voting for Cy Young Award 3 times. John Butcher, Mike Smithson. He won 15 games in 1984 and 1985 while a member of the Minnesota Twins starting rotation. Frank White, an underrated second baseman. White was a 5-time All-Star with the Royals. Fittingly nicknamed Smooth, he won 8 Gold Gloves and compiled 2,006 hits over his 18-year career. Mike Heath, Chris Bando. Many people mistakenly believe that Chris is the son of 1970s Oakland A's superstar Sal Bando. Chris is actually his younger brother. Roy Smalley. Roy's father, also named Roy, was a major league shortstop with the Cubs and Phillies during the 1950s. He is also the nephew of former major league infielder and manager Gene Mauch. Roy Jr. was an All-Star with the Minnesota Twins in 1979. Dusty Baker. Johnny B. Baker is better known today as the 2022 World Series winning manager for the Houston Astros. However, he was an All-Star player as well as being named to back-to-back National League All-Star squads with the Dodgers in 1981-1982. He will most likely be inducted into Cooperstown based upon his managerial success with the Giants, Cubs, Reds, and Astros. Lou Whitaker, the second player in a row that will probably gain favor with the Veterans Committee for Hall of Fame consideration. Sweet Lou was a mainstay in the Tigers infield for 19 seasons. The 1979 American League Rookie of the Year was named to 5 straight All-Star teams during the 1980s. He also picked up 3 Gold Glove awards and 3 Silver Slugger awards, as well as compiling over 2,300 hits during his career. John Lowenstein, always rocking glasses, mustache, and a curly mullet. He was the typical 80s photo specimen. Ben Ogilvy, he was named to 3 All-Star teams during the early 1980s with the Brewers. He led the American League in home runs with 41 during the 1980 season. Doug DeCences, even though he missed half of the season, DeCences was named to the American League All-Star team in 1983. Lonnie Smith, nicknamed Skates because of his adventures in the outfield. Smith was a key part of the 1982 World Series champion St. Louis Cardinals. He was traded early in the 1985 season to the Royals to make room for a young, speedy rookie named Vince Coleman. Smith would have the last laugh as the Royals defeated the Cardinals in the 1985 World Series. Ray Knight, He was a member of the New York Mets' 1986 World Series championship team. He is best remembered for scoring the winning run during Game 6 against the Red Sox in a remarkable comeback to force a Game 7. Knight was named to 2 National League All-Star teams earlier in his career while playing for the Reds in 1980 and 1982. Gary Matthews, Sarge, was the 1973 National League Rookie of the Year while playing for the Giants. He was named to his only All-Star team with the Braves in 1979. His son, Gary Matthews Jr., was a Major League outfielder with 9 different teams during the 2000s. Juan Bonilla? Rod Scurry. Interesting story about his career. Check it out on Wikipedia. Ali Hamaker. His appearance in the 1983 All-Star Game didn't go exactly as he planned. He gave up the only Grand Slam in All-Star Game history. Brought in to neutralize lefty slugger Fred Lynn, Hamaker gave up the record-hitting slam as the American League trounced the National League 13-3. Mike Caldwell, possessing one of the most interesting nicknames in baseball, Mr. Warmth, won 137 games over his 14-year career. Keith Hernandez, a current MLB analyst, Hernandez was a superstar player known for both his offensive and defensive prowess. He was named to 5 All-Star teams, won 11 Gold Glove awards, and finished in the top 10 MVP voting 4 times, including the only co-MVP award in MLB history in 1979. Hernandez deserves Hall of Fame consideration from the Veterans Committee. Larry Bowa, nicknamed Nat by his teammates, Bowa is a pesky middle infielder. He was named to 5 All-Star squads and compiled almost 2,200 hits during his 16-year career with the Phillies and Cubs. Tony Bernazard? Damaso Garcia, he was named to back-to-back American League All-Star teams with the Blue Jays in 1984 and 1985. However, a gruesome injury at the beginning of the 1987 season effectively ended his career. Tom Brunetsky? Bruno was named to his lone All-Star squad in 1985 as a member of the Twins. He was part of the 1987 World Series winning Twins. In an odd move, the Twins traded him to the team they beat in the World Series, my Cardinals, during the first month of the 1988 season. Dan Driesen, he had the difficult task of replacing Tony Perez, who was one of the superstar players with a big red machine during the 1970s. Driesen's nephew, Gerald Perry, was a big league infielder and pitch hitter during the 1980s and 1990s. Ron Kittle. After he blasted his way onto the Major League Baseball scene in 1983 as the American League Rookie of the Year, Kittle appeared destined to be a perennial power-hitting all-star. Unfortunately, he was unable to capitalize on his early success and is now mostly remembered for his white-paneled Van glasses. Tim Stoddard, Bob Gibson, Marty Castillo, Don Mattingly. For most of the 1980s and 1990s, Donnie Baseball's 1984 Donruss rookie card was the most iconic and sought-after card in the industry. With the 1984 Donruss set produced at much lower levels than Flair and Topps, I was never able to pick up a copy until I was hand-collating the set. It is possible that Mattingly will receive a place in the Hall of Fame with this year's Veterans Committee selection. Mattingly finished his career with a .307 batting average, 2,153 hits, 1,007 runs, and 1,099 RBI during an injury-shortened 14-year career. A 6-time All-Star selection to begin his career, along with an MVP trophy in 1985 and 9 Gold Glove awards, Mattingly's lingering back injuries left many wondering what could have been. Jeff Newman, an unlikely All-Star, Newman was named to the American League squad during his only year as the A's full-time catcher in 1979. Alejandro Pena, even though he began his career as a starting pitcher and winning the ERA title in 1984 with the Dodgers, Pena spent the majority of his career as a reliever. Toby Harrah, another underrated infielder during the 1970s, Harrah was named to 4 All-Star teams with the Rangers and Indians. He was known for having a little pop in his bat as well as a steady defense while playing second base, shortstop, and third base over a 17-year career. Cesar Geronimo, the Chief, was the defensive wizard in center field for the Big Red Machine during the 1970s. He won 4 straight Gold Gloves from 1974 to 1977. Tom Underwood, Both Tom and his brother Pat were lefty big league pitchers during the mid-1970s and early 1980s. Doug Flynn, Andy Hassler. Hassler has the unfortunate distinction of ending his big league career with the same winning percentage as was his earned run average, 383. Yes, he lost a lot of games during his major league career. By the way, what is he looking at in this photo? Odell Jones, Rudy Law, Harry Spillman, Marty Bystrom. A September call-up in 1980, Bystrom started 5 games for the Phillies and delivered. He went 5-0 with a complete game shutout. He helped the Phillies win the World Series against the Royals, but he wasn't able to capture the magic from his phenomenal run at the end of 1980, and 4 years later was out of baseball. Journeyman left-hand reliever Dave Rucker ends out this episode. Rucker missed out on being part of the Cardinals' 1982 championship team as he was dealt to them by the Tigers during the middle of the 1983 season, which also had him missing out and being a member of the Tigers' 1984 World Series championship team. Talk about bad timing. On a positive note, he did contribute to the mustache count for this episode, which comes in at 22 hairy handlebars. Well, that does it for episode number 6. Tune in next time for episode number 7, when I'll talk about 4 more Hall of Famers, a potential Hall of Fame manager, and 2 more superstars looking for veteran committee consideration. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did enjoy it, please click on the thumbs up button and share this episode with your friends. Make sure to subscribe and update the notification icon to catch episode number 7 of Let's Talk About 1984 Donruss. Thanks for watching.